Help me to reach 2,000 subscribers. The moment I saw the suitcase, something in me cracked open. It wasn't because of the suitcase itself, but because of what was inside. Neatly folded clothes, toothbrush, perfume, a silk nightgown I hadn't seen in years. I recognized the scent before I even touched it. Jasmine and regret. Maya was standing across the room, pretending not to notice that I was staring at it. She had that calm, distant tone she used when lying. I told you, Adam. It's just a weekend retreat with the girls. Yoga, spa, detox. No phones, no drama. I nodded slowly, keeping my eyes on the suitcase. You've been packing for a while. She smiled faintly. I like to be organized. You know that. The way she said it was too smooth, too rehearsed. It reminded me of how she'd said, "I love you," the night I caught her deleting messages from her phone. Back then, I'd wanted to believe it was nothing. Tonight, belief felt heavy and stupid. The silence between us grew thick, broken only by the hum of the ceiling fan and the soft creak of her zipper. I could feel the weight of every lie she'd told pressing down on me. "You trust me, right?" she asked, looking up. "Of course," I said, though my chest felt hollow. I didn't sleep that night. I lay awake, watching the faint city lights sneak through the blinds and trace her face as she slept. She looked peaceful, too peaceful for someone who had been distant for months. When morning came, I made coffee like usual, but there was a tremor in my hands. She came downstairs wearing that same confident smile, suitcase in hand, wearing lipstick I hadn't seen in weeks. "Don't wait up for me," she said playfully, pecking my cheek. The sound of the door closing behind her was too final. Something inside me shifted. I wasn't going to beg anymore. I wasn't going to question. I was going to know. By noon, I was in the driveway with her suitcase open in front of me. I replaced her clothes with the same ones but added something else. A small camera tucked between layers of silk. It wasn't anger that made me do it. It was the need for truth. The kind that burns through denial like acid. I closed the suitcase carefully, zipped it shut, and placed it back by the door. Then I waited. 2 days later I got the notification on my phone. The camera had connected to Wi-Fi again. I opened the live feed, my pulse hammering in my ears. At first, I saw nothing but a dimly lit hotel room. Then Maya appeared, laughing softly as she poured wine into 2 glasses. A man entered the frame, tall, familiar. My stomach twisted when I realized who it was. Daniel, my best friend. The camera was hidden well, catching their faces clearly. She touched his arm like she used to touch mine, slow and lingering. Her voice trembled as she whispered, "He doesn't suspect a thing." Daniel chuckled. "You sure about that? He's sharp." She shook her head. "Adam's too kind for his own good." The rest of the world went silent. I didn't even realize I'd stopped breathing until the video blurred with tears. I didn't smash the phone. I didn't scream. I just sat there, shaking, feeling the slow death of every memory we'd built. When she returned Sunday evening, I had the suitcase placed in the center of the living room. Candles flickered. The air smelled faintly of wine and anticipation. She froze at the sight of me sitting on the couch. "Hey," she said hesitantly. "You're home early." "I wanted to welcome you back," I replied softly. Her eyes darted to the suitcase, then back to me. She smiled nervously. "You didn't have to. I thought we could unpack together." She froze. Her hand tightened around the suitcase handle. "I'm exhausted, Adam. Can we do this later?" "No," I said. "Now." I stood up slowly, walked to her, and unzipped the suitcase myself. Inside were the same clothes I'd seen before, still neatly folded. But as I lifted one of her blouses, the small camera fell onto the floor, landing between us. Her face drained of color. What is that?" "You tell me." She stepped back, trembling. "You went through my things." I laughed. Quietly, painfully. "You mean the things you take to your weekend trips?" Her lip quivered. "You're being paranoid." "Daniel says hi," I whispered. She froze completely, her breath hitching. "What?" I leaned closer. You told him I was too kind, too blind. You were wrong. Tears filled her eyes, but I felt nothing. She collapsed onto the couch, burying her face in her hands. It wasn't supposed to happen. I swear, Adam, it just what? Cut in. Happened. Like falling into his bed was an accident. Her sobs were soft at first, then violent. I was lonely. You were distant. I thought you didn't love me anymore. That stung more than the betrayal. Because somewhere beneath all the anger, I knew I'd been distant. Work had consumed me. I'd stopped noticing her new dresses, her silence at dinner, her empty smiles. But still she chose him. You could have told me, I said. You could have left. She shook her head. I didn't want to lose you. I thought I could end it. I looked at her then. Not as my wife, not as the woman I loved, but as a stranger wearing her face. I packed your things, I said quietly. She looked up, confused. What? I pointed toward the front door. Another suitcase sat there. Hers, fully packed this time. You're not staying here tonight. She stood trembling. Adam, please. Don't do this. We can fix it. There's nothing left to fix. Her tears came harder. She reached for me, but I stepped back. I loved you, Maya. Enough to believe every lie you told. But love doesn't survive betrayal. She stared at the suitcase by the door, realization dawning like a storm. Her voice cracked. You're serious? I'm done, I said simply. She broke then, completely. Her knees gave way, and she sank to the floor, sobbing uncontrollably. Please, she whispered. Don't make me go. I turned away. Her suitcase rolled against the wooden floor as she dragged it out of the house, the sound echoing like thunder in my chest. When the door finally closed, the silence that followed wasn't peace. It was emptiness. I picked up the small camera from the floor and stared at it for a long time. For a moment, I thought about deleting the footage. Then I placed it in the drawer instead, a reminder of what trust looks like when it dies. Outside, the rain began to fall, tapping gently against the windows. I sat there alone, surrounded by the ghost of what used to be love, knowing that some truths, once uncovered, can never be packed away again.